Folks, NoPixAfterDark is back. You know, when I look for guests, I always look for unique guests. People are doing things amazing. People are doing different things differently, but unique. Doing something that maybe I might not like, but maybe somebody else might like. And so I met this next guest at an opening of a restaurant. And we just chatted quickly, briefly. Hey, welcome. Hope you're here. Hope you had a good time. And we started following each other on social media. I'm like, wow, she has some good stuff going on. So as you know, if anybody comes to my show, I like to watch them for like a good 6 months before I really get to understand who they are, if they're really legit. And so the next voice you'll be hearing is Miss Lauren O'Connell. She does this really great thing on IG, and she can tell you all about it right after these messages.
The NoPixAfterDark podcast is fueled by Zeke's Coffee. Have you tried their coffee yet? I'm telling you, there's something different about it. Maybe it's because they roast their beans in a fluid coffee roaster, which provides the most accurate roasting temperatures and made with love. You will just have to check it out for yourself and try their delicious food while you're at it. Open now for curbside service, online ordering, carry out, and they also do wholesale. Visit Zeke's Coffee at 4719 Hartford Road. Open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, 8 to 5 p.m. Kitchen closes at 3 p.m. or visit Zeke'sCoffee.com and you too can be fueled by Zeke's.
Are you or someone you love in need of mental health support? For All Seasons is now offering same-day therapy appointments with no wait list. Through the For All Seasons Open Access program, you can walk in for mental health services and begin therapy in the same visit. For All Seasons accepts all insurances and provides financial assistance if you need it. For therapy, psychiatry, or victim support, we have appointments available today. Call For All Seasons 410-822-1018.
Welcome to the NoPixAfterDark podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Dante. I told you guys, I always have the heavy hitters coming on NoPixAfterDark. And I'm so excited to have Miss Lauren O'Connell. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad we could make this happen.
I am very excited to be here.
I saw the IG before. I'm like, you're fine. You can. I see you on IG. You have some comical stuff on there that I love watching. So it's my guilty pleasure to watch it, actually.
I love hearing that.
Because it's like, you know what? That's really cool. Like, I kind of want a bar like that. So I'm always like wanting to know new stuff, learn things, and see what's going on. So without further ado, are you from Maryland? Are you from here?
I am.
Where in Maryland?
Born and raised. I am from the Lutherville-Timonium area. Have spent most of my life there outside of going to college and, doing the downtown scene post-college.
Okay.
Which that could, again, be a whole nother podcast that we chatted about. But, so I've been here and I absolutely love it.
Nice. And so, we'll talk about what you have going on, but let's get a little bit more in depth about you.
Sure.
So you've lived here your whole entire life. Okay, now I'm going to ask, because you're from here. What high school did you go to?
You had to ask.
Got to ask that question.
That is the Baltimore question. I went to St. Paul School for Girls.
Okay.
Yes.
That's cool. So did you play any sports there, anything like that?
I did. I played basketball and lacrosse, and I ran cross country. So I was into the athletic side of things there. And then I went off and played lacrosse in college as well for a few years.
What position were you in lacrosse?
Oh gosh, I think I was all over the place. I used to be an attacker, and then I went to college, and they thought, "Hey, let's put you on defense," and I was just along for the ride. So nice. A little bit of everything.
What was your favorite sport, though, out of all three of them?
Basketball.
Yeah, so it always that one's like this favorite one.
Absolutely, yeah. It was the most enjoyable for me. It just wasn't the sport that I was the best at. That kind of took me further beyond high school, but it was the one that I truly loved.
Nice. And coming back out of college, what made you want to move back to the Baltimore area? Just come back in this area?
I just was always pulled here. I come from a very large family, and everyone was here. My siblings, my parents, cousins, and there was a lot to offer. It wasn't like you were coming back and going back to your small town that you were from. I moved back to Baltimore. I was able to move down into the city. I lived in Canton. I lived in Federal Hill. And, there's a great scene down there that's great for 20-something-year-olds who are post-college and looking to kind of figure themselves out. So it was a great move.
Nice. And then we'll talk about Homeowner.
Sorry. I know. It gets confusing.
We'll talk about that because that's interesting. Where that name came from. So after you lived all around, did you see any people in your family that were entrepreneurs? Any friends that you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. You start your own business? Was there anybody like that?
So my parents were entrepreneurs.
Okay.
They both currently work in real estate. My mom in residential, my dad in commercial. But back in the day, most of my childhood was in their liquor store and deli that they owned.
Okay.
So they started this liquor store and deli. I was probably 5 years old, and I spent that age until 13, 14 living there. It was our whole lives. So I watched them start this business, and then they both my dad kind of did both. He did commercial real estate as well as owning this store, and so they've kind of always been entrepreneurial type people. And even in real estate, you're kind of making your own way, and that I think that could be considered entrepreneurial as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we have something in common. My family, we had a deli and liquor store in Baltimore City. I don't really tell people about that, but we had one for I want to say 30 years in Baltimore City. And
Wow.
I was being dumb. So you'll understand where I'm about to come from with this.
Yeah.
I'm out of college. You think you kind of know a little bit more in the world than
Sure.
you should, and I had opportunity to take it over. But I was like, I want to be Wall Street. I want to be, now hindsight, I kind of wish I would have done it.
Yeah.
But my family, so I grew up every summer. So it was like my dad's brothers owned that store. And when I would come back from Baltimore every summer, I worked at that store from 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old.
Wow.
So I was selling booze. You can't give me now the law. I can't find but before all the job forms, it was like, all right,
Yeah.
but that's kind of cool.
It is interesting. We have something in common.
Did you have lotto at your place too?
We did have the lottery, because I can remember when someone won a ticket from my parents' store and learning that, I guess, if you own the store, you get some sort of percentage from it. And that just sticks in my mind. But so you probably have similar stories of making forts out of cases of beer.
Yes.
Having your friends at the store, and you're like showing them the tequila bottle with a worm in the bottle.
Yes.
Did you ever?
Yes. I did all that. And even
So that was my childhood.
that. I get it. I totally get it. That was. I didn't know what Newports were until I started working there. I didn't know what Marlboro Lights were.
Right.
And so I learned all that at a young age. So that's wow. I love that.
That is wild. And then I also have a very, I know a good deli sandwich when I see one, if that's one way to put it, because my parents, we were into that.
Is it about the bread, or is it about the
It's about the meat to me. It needs to be very thinly shaved.
Okay.
That's how she rolled when they ran their deli. So
Okay.
I'm pretty big on that.
Okay. No, I'm always interested to hear how
Yeah.
people view it. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about you. I know your IG site. Mm-hmm. When did that all come about? Because I want to give a little teaser before we go. But how did this all happen? What year did that happen?
It's not ever something I thought I would do. I can start with that. But I was a teacher for 11 years, 8 years in Baltimore City, and then made the transition to a private school in the county. And after I had my first child, we kind of made the decision that I wasn't going to go back to teaching. And that just... It was great. I got to be home with my son, and I quickly had 2 more babies after that. So there's a lot to be said about having that opportunity, but I was bored might be the right word, but I needed something else outside of just these 3 babies that I had. And I was, working a little bit with my mom in real estate at that point in time. I got my license, thought maybe this was something I wanted to do. And we started this Instagram site, my mom and I, because we thought homeowners needed to know a little bit more about how to take care of their home. We were seeing that new buyers didn't know what to do. And we thought, we'll just start this Instagram page. But it's come a very long way since then. I kind of shifted into more sharing a lot of my DIY projects I was doing at home. From there, I noticed that people were kind of into other things, sharing some personal style, for the 30, 40-year-olds. And it just kind of evolved into more of a lifestyle site.
And where did the name come from?
So there's a saying in real estate, if you go into a house and you see something done poorly, whatever that might be, something that they tried to do themselves, install the tile, woodwork, whatever it is, you go, oh man, old Harryhomeowner did that one. So it's just kind of a term that you hear in real estate. And we just snagged it when we started the page. And I was shocked to see that it was not taken, to be honest with you. So it just kind of, that's where it came from.
Folks, right after these messages, we're going to talk a little bit more about the page, the site. She's a website out. all this good stuff, learn about some of the things she's learned, some of the things, the feedback she's gotten. Be right back on these messages.
When you give to United Way, your gift could be the first spark of something bigger. It can help someone find, interview for, and get hired for a job, and provide follow-up services for success. It can break down educational barriers and give that extra help to a struggling student with in-school support programs. Give today. Spark something bigger.
Hi, my name is Catherine Womack. I'm a former strategic intelligence officer with the U.S. Navy. I spent the last couple of years at U.S. Cybercom and transitioned from active duty after 15 years into small business ownership. I own and operate a digital marketing agency in the state of Maryland. So a lot of people approach me thinking that digital marketing is simply social media management or maybe doing Google ads or Facebook ads, things like that. But what digital marketing really is an umbrella term for a multitude of tactics to get small businesses found by the people who need them. I personally specialize in search engine optimization, website development with conversion architecture in mind. And what that really means is the people are going to your website and doing the thing you need them to do. And oftentimes it's requesting a quote, an appraisal, things like that. So there's definitely a psychology to website development. And we lean really heavy into the psychology of sales to get people to do the things you need them to do. A lot of times as a business owner, you haven't had the time to think about what your needs really are, what your challenges truly are, the sources of those challenges. I can guarantee you in most cases, it's not simply that you need an ads campaign, and that's where I can add value to your marketing strategy.
And folks, we were back with Miss Lauren O'Connell. Thank you for hanging out with us at NoPixAfterDark today.
This is great.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself.
You were all nervous. This is just like having a conversation.
It is. I love conversation.
And we had things in common, so we didn't even know. We had a couple mutual friends in common we knew about. So let's talk about the IG. Because IG, you and I didn't grow up IG.
No.
We didn't. We grew up on AOL Instant Messenger.
Yes. We are not millennials. We are zennials. Did you know that?
Facts.
We are a micro generation.
Facts.
So we were around it, but
yeah,
we were, anyway.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's like fine wine. It gets better with time. So you started it. Did you know anything about IG at that point? Were you using IG like for business? What were you like?
Sure, I was on it when I was doing some real estate stuff with my mom. So I was on Instagram. You know, I had my personal page as well, but I was following influencers. I followed people who did all that stuff, but I never in a million years thought that I would dabble in it as well. But yeah, so we started the page, and I say we because at first it was real estate related, but very quickly I had my third child, kind of fell off of it. And when I brought it back about a year later, that's when it more went into what it is now, kind of just sharing the lifestyle, DIY projects, cleaning hacks. I mean, I feel like it's everything at this point in time.
No, it's really good. You have a lot of great things that people, I think that's why I really wanted to have you on the show, because you're doing some cool stuff. Instead of like looking at people who live all across the world, we have people right here in our backyard that are doing some great things. Yeah. And I like to see your show as one of those things. I call it a show. Because like you do.
Sometimes it feels like a show.
But you're like, you're talking and you're sitting there like walking us through it. And like, did you think this? Did you think this? And I'm like, oh, actually that makes sense. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, like going through all that. Yeah. Were you nervous to get in front of the camera? Like, because that's always a big thing, like seeing yourself in front of the camera and you're talking. And like,
yes. You know, it's one of those things that in the beginning you would film yourself talking about something and then you'd film it again because you didn't have the right angle or whatever it was. And very quickly you learn that you can't waste your time on that. So get over it, you know? And now I basically, if I'm on and I'm talking, like it's one and done. I don't care how the lighting, you know, it's just, you just got to go with it. And I think that what makes it a little more real, you know, when I'm on there. And so, yeah.
So when you start doing a lifestyle, what was the feedback from your friends? So give us examples of some lifestyle things that you're working on that you've been in the past.
So truly when we started, it was a lot of DIY projects. Okay. So I was doing a lot of home decor, doing my own woodwork, teaching myself how to do these things in our house, and then sharing it on Instagram. And as that evolved here and there, I would share, you know, people would say, hey, what's that sweatshirt that you're wearing today? You know, so I'd start sharing that stuff and got a lot of good feedback from that. You know, most of the stuff that I'm able to link are commissionable links. So you see what people like, what they don't. There's a lot of analytics behind it. So then I thought, you know, people do want to see more of a lifestyle. They want to know what's happening. And with that, I started sharing a little bit more about the realities of our life with 3 children. You know, I had 3 kids in 2.5 years, and people really relate to sharing about the realities of toddlers and babies and all of that. So that's probably the biggest feedback I get from people, is being real about what home life is like. You know, that it's not all DIY projects and, you know, sharing this and sharing that, that most of my days I'm being yelled at by toddlers and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And people want to know that they're not alone in that.
And that's so true. I mean,
Yeah.
I go through it myself, so
Yeah.
I totally get that. And I think what society wants is more people that are real. Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest thing that people get back to me when they talk to me. Like, why do you like this show? They're like, just real authentic. That's who you are. You don't.
Yeah.
And just like you, I do 1-take interviews. I don't do 2 takes.
Right.
We don't go back. It is what it is.
I have no time to take one picture 700 times. I just don't.
Think about it. I mean,
and it's real. You know, if one of the pictures is me thinking, oh my gosh, this looks terrible, that's how it is. You know, it just, and I think that's important, that a lot of people we see on Instagram, whether they mean to or not, there is a portrayal of life being perfect and, you know, being a certain weight and eating certain things and getting up at a certain time. And it's really important to just, for everyone to feel like, you know what, we're all just normal. We're all just trying to get through every single day, you know, with making it through the day and keeping those kids alive.
I like it.
You know?
I like that because, I mean, I always tell people it's not 80 degrees in sunflowers. It's not
No way.
that at all.
No.
It's never that way. So I always tell people, just be real, be who you are. And so how do you feel about when somebody says you're an influencer?
That's such a good question, because there's definitely a stigma associated with that word.
Right.
For whatever reason. I don't know
Right.
why, because that is the title that has been given to people that are on a social media platform and sharing things that are influencing other people to buy or to do, you know,
Right.
whatever it is. So that is what it is, but there's something about the word that's weird. And I try to say it with confidence, but it's still hard for me. Like if someone says to me, what do you do? I fumble a little bit, and then I go talk about content creation, and then it gets really weird, and I'm like, I'm an influencer. So,
I mean,
it's
listen,
something that you have to it needs to become more normal, because it is what it is.
It's still hard
know?
for me.
Yeah.
Because I've had people say, well, you're an influencer. I'm like, I'm media. They're like, oh yeah, you are that too. And I'm like, so it's hard for me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't influence anybody, but I do in a way.
You certainly do.
But
it might be different from how I do it, but you do too.
But I don't think of it like that.
Right,
I think I'm
right.
like, I'm just telling you what it is.
Right.
And you should understand this is how life is.
Right.
If you don't want to see it like this, then I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that's funny that you and I have that same, because that stigma, like you're an influencer taking picture. It's that kind. It's like, I don't want to be that person, you know. Like,
Right.
You're an influencer, you know. But from what I've learned, there's so many. I call us micro influencers.
Right.
And those are very important because a lot of companies want micro influencers more and more. So and so.
Totally.
They want the people who are actually getting the contact with people. So I'll give you an example. I did a thing for a company in Baltimore, and it was a ticketed event, and they had big influencers who had all these followers. I outsold all those influencers and tickets.
Nice.
And they said, how do you do it? I said, because I'm real.
You're relatable. You're someone that when you get on Instagram or get on your podcast, they're looking for you.
And they want to hear what I have to say.
They want to hear what you have to say.
Because I don't, if you look at my IG, I don't really come out and say anything on IG. I don't actually talk on IG, which is interesting. I don't talk on it. I talk on more of this medium, but if I do, that means I believe in what I'm doing.
Right.
And when people, I get asked to be on the show, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Because I want somebody who's unique, different, and that's why I like what you have for your show.
Thank you.
I think you are unique. I think you're different. I think you're being authentic. I think people can relate, and relatability is all about what people want nowadays. When did you realize you were like, oh shit, like this this is becoming like real right now. Like, when did that oh shit moment happen?
You know, when I first started and it was more sharing the home decor and the DIY, there was no money making off of it. You know, It was very much just a hobby, something that gave me an outlet that I desperately needed at the time. And that was during the pandemic.
Right.
But when you start getting to the point where there's a little bit of income coming in and you see that the harder you work, the more you understand this industry, the better it gets, you realize that it truly is a job, you know, and it's something you work at each day. But I also love that if there's a day where I just can't do it for whatever reason, kids are sick or whatever, then I can take a day off. You know, I'm my own boss, which is kind of the coolest thing about it, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what I tell people, because I always tell people who are successful are the ones who are consistent. Mm-hmm. So I think consistency is the most important thing. How about what you got going on?
You have to be consistent. So if I'm having a day that's not good, it needs to like just be that day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, consistency is key. I mean, when you look at Instagram and you try to understand the algorithm, it's always evolving. You know, everything's always different. People are looking at stories. Nope. Now they're looking at reels. Nope. Now they're looking. It's always different. You're always adapting to what's new. So you just have to roll with the punches. You have to figure it out and you have to keep up, because if you're not consistent, you're not going to have growth. And if you want growth, you just have to be consistent. And for me, I'm like, let's keep growing.
Because I love how you're like, some days you put sweaters on. Sometimes like you like look at these sweaters. You're like, oh, look at these shoes. So it's something for everybody. I feel like in there.
I think so, because in my mind, I know that I probably cater more towards a female audience. But then I have people like you, and you're not the only man that will say to me, oh my gosh, I laughed so hard, or this was pretty interesting. You know, so in my mind, I think it's catered more towards women, but I know that there are tons of male followers as well that there's something for them on there.
No, you have a couple. I'm not gonna say it now. But you had a funny one that I was like, it caught my ear. Like, you know how you're like listening, and you're like, it's like you're doing work, but you hear in the background like, all right, let me flip through the story. And you said something, and I was like, and I was like, oh, it was about some underwear thing that you were your test.
Yeah,
and it was just funny, but it was funny how you said it, and you're like, you know, and I was like, damn, that does make sense. Like what you say, I'm not a woman, but like
I probably talked about anyway. Yeah, I shouldn't say it.
But no, you.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny. And I was kind of like, oh, that does make sense. Like, would you want your grandmother wearing? Like, it was just something like that. So it was interesting, but just that was certain, like, or like you're like traveling, like this is what the kids are. These are tablets, which is really cool because I went out and bought my kids the same tablet. Yeah, the blue one. Yeah. And so I get it. Like, it makes sense, and like a lot of people need that.
I think it does hit everyone, no matter where you are in life. Hopefully, you gather something, I guess. But
I like that.
Yeah. At least that's what I try to do.
Where does this go now? I mean,
God, that's a great question.
It's going up. Your numbers are going up.
Yeah.
I mean, people are tuned in. What can we do in the show? Can we help put the word out? I mean, what do you see going?
You know, I kind of said this before. It's trying to consistently keep up in this industry is tough. Mm-hmm. It's really tough. It's always changing. And you're technically a business owner, right? You run your own business, your own brand, and that in itself is hard. The ebbs and the flows and the highs and the lows are just constant. You know, you can be feeling like, oh gosh, this is going nowhere, and then the following day something happens and this is so great. So what's next is really, I just want to continue to grow and really just keep doing what I'm doing. I have the website coming out hopefully in the next 4 weeks or so that will allow people to refer back to for blog posts as well as the different things that I'm posting in terms of shopping. And having that website helps to get into the Pinterest world, which is a whole nother side of social media that can be really important for growth. So it's kind of just the continuing to go and looking at what's working and what's not and constantly adjusting.
That Pinterest world is a whole different thing. That's like a whole, but that's, I feel like, but you're in that world though. Just not there.
Yeah.
You're like, you're in the IG Pinterest world. Like you're there.
Between Pinterest and the website, it's going to give me an opportunity to have things that I'm doing have a place to live forever.
Right.
You know, if I post something on my Instagram stories, it's gone. You know, you have LTK and Amazon and things like that, but truly having the blog posts and the things like, you know, that, and then if it's on Pinterest and you click on it, it takes you to my webpage. To me, it feels like that's permanent things on the internet that are there for people to access when they need it.
It's funny, I think I don't know if you and I talked about this, but websites, like I think I might have told you, I didn't think websites were very important.
Right.
And I remember my website came out right before the pandemic. And I was like, oh, everybody's home, website's up.
Yeah.
And it was just people, I didn't realize how many people went to websites. Yep. Like, I guess like I just never, I guess subconsciously, I just didn't know I did it a lot.
Right.
But people are like, oh, we love your website. It's legible. It's easy to navigate. Don't worry about it. It's mindless.
Right.
And that's what I try to do with that. You know, try a website, and that's very important. So
very important. I was the same way. I didn't think it was a big deal for a while, and then suddenly, you know, you start to realize how important it is. So
because people want to buy what you have, but they're like, oh, well, you know how you look at IG story real quick. Oh, cool. I'm gonna come back to that. You come back, it's already gone.
Yeah.
Where's your landing spot for that? So that's something to think about. Just like, I'm sure you already thought about it. Right?
And I've always been very into writing. That was kind of a strong suit of mine growing up. So for me, it's exciting to have the website and have the blog posts that involve, you know, a feature of writing, because it's another little outlet of mine, I guess you could say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
What site? Where can you find you on IG? Are you doing Twitter? Are you doing TikToks? Are you doing any of that crazy like?
So Twitter, I had to get off. I never was on Twitter as my IG as Harryhomeowner.
Gotcha.
But Twitter, I had to leave. That was just intense.
It's a lot. Every day is
And
a
then
new day.
TikTok is like a whole nother thing where people are constantly telling me, you have to get on TikTok. You have to get on TikTok. But I have a TikTok, but I don't get on it. I don't know. It will help with growth in terms of numbers, but to me, it's not giving me the people that I want to be following me.
I was going to say that too.
It's not an authentic following, and that's important to me because you can be successful in what I'm doing with 10,000 followers, and you can be just as successful with that many as if you had 150, because it's all about capturing people, you know, and it's about people wanting to come to your site and to see what you have to say. It's so anyway. So
then on IG,
and then IG is Harryhomeowner.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not letting you all take that easy. Yeah, we do a speed round. We do a speed round here.
Okay, I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
We don't get you off the hook that easy.
Okay.
All right. Crabs or crab cakes?
Crabs.
All right. Cool. All right.
Okay.
Do you do all right? Here's a tricky one. Old Bay or JO seasoning?
Old Bay.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's
We
interesting.
put Old Bay on everything.
Okay. All right. I'm not knocking it. Not
Yeah.
knocking it. All right. For chicken wings, drums or flats?
Flats for sure.
Blue cheese or ranch?
Ranch.
What ranch? You're not a blue cheese person, huh? Not the crumble blue.
I like blue cheese, but I prefer ranch.
Honey Old Bay or regular Old Bay?
Honey, I think yes.
Honey Old Bay.
Yep.
All right. Hamburger, cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger.
Pickles? No pickles?
Pickles.
Yeah, pickles.
I love pickles. Love them.
Summer or winter?
I'm gonna say winter.
Okay.
Yes, I love summer, but again, I'm in this period now with the little kids that summer's just really hard.
No, you get it. So the holiday time. Not holidays. Your favorite 3 concerts you ever been to?
Oh my gosh, Garth Brooks, number 1.
Okay.
That was great. Gosh, I just went. Where did I just go? I did see Britney Spears in concert when I was 12 years old.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
And that was pretty good. Gosh, if I'm being honest with you, I'm not a concert person.
Okay, you're not a concert person.
Nope.
Okay.
I like them, but all those people in a small space is uncomfortable for me.
Favorite halftime show? For Super Bowl halftime show? Uh-oh.
Okay, you're assuming that I watched the Super Bowl.
I think you might have watched a couple years ago. There was somebody. I think our age group was the same age group that might have liked it.
Oh, well, what was last year? Last year was good.
It was Rihanna.
Oh, that was Rihanna. No, 2 years ago then.
with Eminem. And,
oh yeah.
That's
That
all,
was
yeah.
good. That was good.
All
That
right.
was good.
See, you're
But I'll watch the Super Bowl and I'll watch the halftime show. But I guess like concert. But I do love music. It's just not the concert scene that.
All right, then
that gets me.
we get in your car right now. What music is playing right now? Not non-kid music. What music is playing right now?
I make them listen to my music, and then that's how they learn things they shouldn't say. Country, for sure.
Gotcha.
Just like Sirius XM, a country station.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Ms. Lauren, you're off the hot seat now.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for
that?
coming on the show.
I'm so glad I got to be here.
Check out her website. Check out her IG handle. She has some really cool stuff. It's for everyone, you know. Maybe not your cup of tea, but there's so many different flavors of ice cream. You got to choose one of them. So thank you so much for your time. Love, peace, and